The Locals panel is only available in debug mode, and it displays exceptions, arguments, variables, properties of the previously executed activity, and properties of the current activity. As shown earlier, here we can find information about the thrown exception, but we can also see all of the variables in our workflow and their current values. For example, the first name, last name, mobile phone number, the user's data table, and so on. Whenever a value changes during execution, we'll see it in the Locals panel. Here, we can also see the properties of the previously executed activity and of the current one. In our case, the previous one was assign activity to get the value of mobile number as a string from a data row. And the current one is the assign activity to pass the mobile number. A very useful feature of the Locals panel is the ability to modify variables on the spot. Here's how it works. Now we know that the exception was thrown when the assign activity tried to pass a mobile phone number. Let's click the View More icon for the mobile number string variable to edit it. The phone number contains a letter. Let's change it to 3 and click OK. Click Retry to re-execute the activity. Great! Our execution continues and is entering the data in the other fields. We can also edit the properties of the current activity in the Locals panel. This means that we can use it to test different selectors, input methods, or other properties. It's important to remember that changing variables or properties in the Locals panel doesn't persist in the workflow. In other words, if we run the workflow again or restart debugging, we'll encounter the same error. Local panel values hold valid only for that instance of debugging. So, let's test this. Let's restart debugging this file again. As expected, an error has occurred again. Now we know that the data is in the wrong format and the source of data is the Excel file. So, let's check the data in the Excel file and see if we can fix it. We also know that the error message is input string was not in a correct format. Finally, we know that it was in the first row, since the execution didn't go past the first run through the for each row in data table activity. So, it's very likely that the first phone number isn't in the correct format. And indeed, the first phone number contains a letter. Let's change it to 3. Save and close the file. Next, we want to check if this solves the issue. Let's go back to the top level, scroll down, and make sure that we select the first sequence after the Enter Mobile Phone Number sequence. It's the Enter City, State, Zip one. Let's right-click the Toggle a Breakpoint option that will pause the execution when reached. Clicking the Breakpoints button again would disable the breakpoint, and clicking it a third time would remove it. We'll learn more about breakpoints later in this course. Let's click